Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mind Body TV. I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. I am going to be sharing today about how to allow our work to be an expression of our heart, to be an expression of aliveness, to be something that contributes to every aspect of ourselves, mind, body, soul, our health, our relationships, our own personal expansion. We tend to think of work as something that contributes to our bank account and hey, that's enough. And we've really outgrown that paradigm where now we're like starving if we're in work that isn't really feeding our souls, that isn't really aligned with the harmony of our essence and like feeding every cell in our body with that. So where we spend so much energy often for many of us and so much time engaging in our work, if it's like even 2 degrees off center of what is really in our heart, what's really our true expression of who we're here to be, we end up wasting that energy, exploiting that energy. We end up giving way more out than what we're receiving in, and it is incredibly depleting and really detrimental to our health. So how do we find work that resonates with who we really are? How do we even know, like, well, what am I here to be? What am I here to do? I don't know. Or if we're already engaging in work that, maybe nothing else has shown up, it's like, well, I'm going to stay where I am. How do we begin to engage this harmonic and this alignment right where we are? So that is what we're going to explore today in Mind Body TV. So welcome those of you who are live, and hello to everyone who's listening to the recording. We are, going to be sending out a link tomorrow, I believe, for a live webinar I'm holding tomorrow. You can register and subscribe at drkimd.com if you would like to receive that. For those of you who are new or don't know me, I am a physician and I've stepped really out of the medical system, so to speak, to move into something that was much more fluid for me. So I'm speaking to this topic today from the standpoint of what I've experienced in my own life and what has created more for me, what's created the opportunities for me to do that. And how I knew that it wasn't, like there was the wrong path for me. This was not going to work. I felt like I was slowly dying when I was in the emergency room. I really loved what I had trained in ER and what I'd learned and how I was using my skills, and even my skill of being a very intuitive, highly intuitive, more energetically sensitive person. It was amazing to use that in the emergency room as a doctor with those who were in need or in fear or in despair and kind of in dire straits. It was a really beautiful thing to connect that way, but it did not have space for so much of what was ready to come through me, for so much more of who I am and how I operate. And so there came a time when I was just like, please, God, let there be something else for me. I didn't know how to create it, what it could look like. I did know the resonance of it and what it would feel like and the freedom of it and the joy of it. And like, wow, I would just do this for free, which I mostly do. And just, wouldn't it be amazing to make a living at this and really receive so much back from it? So how did I let that be created into what's now an external expression, a business structure, a physical thing, from this kind of inspiration that it started out as? So I will be speaking to that as well today. And Susie says, this is a perfect topic for me right now. Hello to Rachel and Rocio, Elaine, good morning, Randy, Teresa, and Emily. It's always great to have familiar faces here. So I'd like to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? And also, where are you with this relationship with work? Are you doing work you love and kind of like wanting even more expansion? Or are you doing things like, oh, I don't know how to get out of this. This is not what I want to do, but I don't see a way out. How can I do it differently? Where are you at currently with your relationship to your work? A lot of times we have so many conclusions and ideas about, well, but I have to make money, so I have to do it this way, or there isn't really anything else available, or I'm not trained in this, or I don't have the right credentials, or I'm not skilled at it, or because I don't know what it is, I can't really step into it now. what happens with this alignment? And there's so much I'm like learning on a daily basis and uncovering about this. When we connect with the intelligence within us, and there are actual cells in the physical structure of the heart that are receptors for this, that are receptors for that space where we feel and we know something beyond what we know in our mind. Like, geez, I just know I'm meant for something bigger, or I just know I should take this trip, or I just know I should leave this relationship, or I just know that I want to do a certain kind of work that is outside of the realm of what I'm doing now. We sometimes have a knowing, but because it's not registered at the level of the conscious mind, we haven't learned to trust it. We haven't learned to receive from it. We haven't learned to tune into it as fully as we could. And these cells at the level of the heart, they're called sensory neurites. So they're kind of like neurons, which are brain cells, but they're in the heart and they're operating independently of the brain, meaning we register things that have nothing to do with what we think or what we believe, and it's a knowing. So how can we connect with that and allow that awareness in? What we see is that when we connect with that and allow the resonance of that to be received, even if we don't understand it, it will entrain our brain. It'll actually repattern how we think, what we perceive, what we're aware of, the opportunities we see, the inspirations and ideas we have. It's incredibly, incredibly powerful when we allow this inner alignment. We are currently working on my next book right now, and there's a lot in there about this, about the physical aspect of this and about what this harmonic does to the body. In fact, I just had an amazing private session over Skype with someone in Canada, and this really was a big part of her integration, was beginning to enter into this alignment. So scientifically, we've seen that the electromagnetics of the heart are more powerful, meaning they're communicating more strongly than what's happening in the brain, than the electromagnetic field of the brain. That means all of the ideas and judgments and beliefs and memories and experiences and thoughts that I have about work, about what's possible, about what I should do or what I have to do or how the world works and what's required of me is less important than what's resonating here at the level of the heart. This knowing of Kim, it's okay to choose something different. And the reason for that is your heart is registering, it's sensing the energies around you. And when there is an opening of, oh, there's this new work that I could be doing, your awareness can register it, even if there's no way you could know it in your conscious mind. You couldn't possibly know that a job just opened up or that someone on the other side of the planet is looking for someone who does exactly what you're doing. But you can follow the guidance and follow the awareness of that, and it will lead you to that synchronous connection of meeting with that person or finding that job. Maybe you just look on a particular site and you see a posting, or what inspired you to follow that. You're following your knowing, you're following your guidance, you're following your heart. Most often it's subconscious. I don't know why I decided to go on that site at exactly 11:09 Mountain Time and check it out. I just did. Well, there's a calling. There's guidance that we're following. We can do this more consciously. We can choose it more willingly. Martha says, hi, I'm ready to tune in more. Yes, amen. Joanne, hello. I know you're definitely excited to tune in. Medina, hello from Lagos, Nigeria. Wow, what an honor. It's amazing to be connecting with people all over the world. Joanne says, Naperville, Chicago, not loving massage after 20 or more years. This is why I'm signing up for the Be the Medicine course. I've done really well with all the work I've done with you in the past, and I'm open to receiving so much more. Well, we do right now have the Be the Medicine program on offer. You can go to drkimd.com/BTM, because what we will be creating in that 6-month program is this inner alignment, this inner harmonic, and practicing into it, connecting with it, receiving from it, and letting it be the way we show up in the world. So that may resonate for you, maybe not, and we'll just talk in this broadcast today and touch into that so that you can receive some of this right now. Sandy says, I love my work. I'm a cabinet maker and we're super busy. but it's a lot of stress. So when we connect with this harmonic, even if we are aligned with doing what is in our heart, like for me, when I get off that harmonic, it feels really stressful. It feels overwhelming. It feels discordant. And I'll know immediately. And so I'll just call myself back in. What do I know that I know? And immediately there'll be awareness of like, oh wait, I don't need to do all these 10 things I was going to do. Or hey, I'm gonna put that aside for now. We were gonna be doing a retreat in October and we've moved it for a little bit further out. And I just knew like, let's let that go and let's let it rearrange itself. Sometimes I'm not aware of why, but when it all comes together in the end, I realize like, oh my gosh, this was perfect because like, for example, the person I was working with today, we had set up the private, it's a mini integration package, and it was a couple months ago. And we both know it was the right thing for us to choose to do this together. But I also knew like, usually I like to do these a couple of weeks when someone registers, but this is not, there's a couple months here where there's a lot going on here and let's put this further out. So we just kind of connected to begin the integration. And we had this session today. Meanwhile, so many of the energies have moved in the last 2 months for all of us on the planet. And it was really clear when we came together today, like so much had shifted for herself, so much had shifted for myself, and we got so much more out of it by honoring that awareness and letting it happen now, instead of trying to override it and do what I think I should do. We should do it sooner. We should have this happen. Okay, let me rearrange my universe to make that happen. And we tend to like work hard and stress ourselves out because we think that's how it should be. So this following and this wisdom that's within you, and again, we'll do a little exercise here to connect with it at the level of the heart, will guide you into creating things that go beyond what you already know mentally, what you've already learned, what you already have concluded. And when we allow the expansion of that, it entrains what's happening in the brain. And I'll share a little bit about that too. Elaine says, I ran a dance school for over 30 years, then set up another when I moved to BC. I'm now retired from that, but I'm a creative photographer. I love all of this. So I was always happy working. The dance school made enough money for my children to live a good life as they grew up. My photography is not a moneymaker, but it sure does help me keep me sane. It helps my anxiety. I think my heart ruled me always. And the dance school was very successful. Now the photography is helpful in other ways, keeping me grounded, etc. So one of the things we see with our work is this going to make me money? And sometimes we leave it at that, not realizing that there's so much more that we can receive from our work. And in the paradigm we're in right now, it's actually necessary that we absolutely must receive so much more from the work we're doing, because there's way too much of an energy investment to not reap the benefits of that. That's why so many people end up depleted. Or for like practitioners, they have something amazing to offer the world, but they're in a system that only lets a little bit of that eke through. When I was in my osteopathic practice, it was very much like that. It was like, fix my knee, fix my shoulder, fix my headache. And I was showing up with the revolutionize your life sort of energy, and it came through this little space of fix my knee. So it was like, this is not so great for me. Like, great, people were walking away and they no longer required surgery, or they could go back out and run again. But I was like, I want so much more and I'm not getting it. So I needed to expand and connect in my awareness to create structures that supported what I had to bring to the world. This is a lot of what we do in Be the Medicine, is what are the expansive structures you create that support and assist you as they contribute to humanity. You have to figure yourself in the equation as the #1 recipient of what you're doing in your work. And that's because you're the one who is contributing so much to that part of the equation. I have a beautiful quote from Khalil Gibran. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly, but this is the author of the famous book, The Prophet. And he really believed in generosity in our work and how that ignites the aliveness in our body. And he said that work is love made visible. So ask yourself, am I allowing my expression of love to come through in my work? Is the work I'm doing an expression of love? So for so many people you see, you're like, Even if I call someone up, it's a customer service representative for like my pediatrician, whatever. And you'll say, hey, how are you doing? And oh, I'm good. Well, I'm here. So, and the thought is, well, I can't be that great because I'm at work. And then it's like, oh, work and then play. And then we have this whole idea of like work-life balance. And what's necessitated in that understanding is that work is not life. No wonder we feel like we're dying so often in our work. And certainly it felt like that for me. I was in the ER and I just go out to get a breath of air on the veranda and be like, oh my God, I've got to make more space in my life. Please, God, show me the way. I'm dying here. So if you feel like that's you, or there's constriction or stress or contraction, let's move through this. We want to let our work bless and contribute to us as it blesses and contributes to others. So if you're doing your work, whether it's customer service or massage or whatever, can you let it be a blessing to you as you allow it to be a blessing to the world? Is it an expression of love that comes through you? And now so many of us may not be in our essence or in our greatest talent and skill in what we're doing in our work. Maybe it's like, oh, I really have this artistic and creative capacity, but I'm doing this kind of linear work that doesn't have room for that. So you want to begin to connect with something higher. So let's move into something that allows this. So just have a few deep breaths. You can close your eyes if that's available, and relax your body. Connect with the space of your heart. And sometimes that sounds kind of airy-fairy, like, what? How do I do that? But just bring your awareness to your heart. You can put your hand on your heart. You can begin to feel the breath moving in your chest. What this does is it actually ignites or turns up the volume on these sensory neurites, the space in your heart that is a sensing organ. And this happens anywhere in your body. If you become more aware of your hands, the neurons, the sensory neurons, are more sensitive. You can feel more subtle things in what you're palpating or what you're putting your hands on. So same thing for your heart. You're allowing this sensory organ to register information more clearly. So just bring your awareness to your heart. And you can ask yourself, what do I know that I know that's possible here for me? And just take a few deep breaths, and you can just set the intention. I choose to connect with this space to source, myself, and my knowing. And so just feeling into that, breathing into that. If I did know, what would I let myself know? So just taking a few deep breaths. Good. What do I already know is available to me? What would it take for me to choose that? Now, you're going to let this expand. And so you can see it as light in this base of the heart where these neurons are registering this inner awareness, sacred awareness. And let that expand beyond you. Let it expand beyond the space of your heart, beyond the space of your chest, beyond the space of your body. And it can encompass the brain so that it informs the brain. And it is entraining your brain. And it's allowing your brain to pick up and receive this awareness on a more conscious level. Very powerful exercise. And yes, it does engage the neuroplasticity of the brain so that the brain begins to sort of reform. All those old connections from trauma or memory or conclusions or limitations release. So if you ever think, how can I release all my limiting beliefs about money and work and what I have to do? You don't even have to work on that. And train your brain by connecting with this space in the heart. Feel it. Let it expand beyond you. And you can just allow your brain to receive all of that, to begin to harmonize in that frequency. And as we did in this private session we just had, it was very powerful. If you pluck a guitar string on one side of the room and there's other guitars in the room, that same string of that note you plucked will begin to resonate. It'll begin to move because there's movement and there's energy in that string you just plucked. And so other physical things in the environment that have that same resonance. So the G string on one guitar will vibrate the G string on another guitar if it's in proximity. because the energy is a frequency, it's a movement, and it will begin to vibrate the G string on this other guitar that no one even touched. And so there's resonance. When you begin to sort of vibrate and turn up the volume on this sensory organ in the heart, it will harmonize those parts of your knowing that are able to receive this. It'll change what's happening in your brain. Teresa says, I really like my job and it seems to flow, but yes, I think there's something beyond. I've been invited for a new position for an interview, so I'm open to something new. What would it be if this is my calling? Yeah, so keep resonating with that. Oh, and she, I'm staying open, though I have some fear. Yep, so just keep, it's a really beautiful exercise to let this awareness come in so you can just let it guide you. Even though I have all these conclusions about I'm not good enough or there's not enough out there for me, whatever. A lot of fear about money too can happen where it's like, wait a minute, my job is my source of income, and so what else will happen? But the truth is, your job is not your source. It's really important to register that. Your job is not your source. Your spouse, if someone's supporting you financially and you're like, hey, I'm not working, I'm in this arrangement and we have this agreement. Well, your spouse is not, your partner is not your source. Life is your source, and it can bring that through your partner, it can bring that through a job, it can bring that through any channels that are coming in. So you can just appreciate, I receive from infinite source, and yes, I can allow it to come through this channel or this channel or this channel, and it's okay, it's all source. But when you connect with this inner alignment, feeling into the heart, letting it expand beyond you, letting it entrain your brain and kind of release all the limitations and conclusions you've held and inform you of something higher, you will be able to receive in a much more expansive way. And it can even automatically release these old ways that aren't really serving you. Shelly says, I love my work, but as a designer, I don't feel it's really meaningful or contributing much to the world. So this would be a really powerful way for you to begin to connect with something higher within you. Yeah, it's almost like if there's all these possibilities around you that are known and unknown that you couldn't even know, right? Like this job position just opened, or this other person's in need of something that's totally in your expertise. And maybe you don't even know what your expertise is yet because you're not consciously registering it. But at the level of this sensation in the heart, it is registered. And you'll feel that as an ignition, as a speeding up of like, whoa, new possibility. And then what happens is the brain's like, no, not for me. No, I can't leave my job. No, I'm not good enough. No, I don't have enough skill, whatever. And then it's like, oh, well, that's a calibration. Doesn't feel great all the time, especially if we're still kind of tuning in at the mind. And that's that's the system we've plugged into as our reality. But if we let ourselves move through that, this new awareness will begin to integrate, and we start to feel the pain of holding all those limitations. So we begin to invite ourselves to let them release. Susie says, I just started at a new home job. My problem always comes in asking for what my time is worth. I'm never confident to ask for a good wage for myself. This has been an ongoing issue in every job I've had. So it may be that you're being invited to step into something that is beyond your comfort zone, and it may still feel scary, even though you're choosing to step into it now. So I wouldn't wait for it to feel better and then you can step into it. You can begin to engage it and let the fear release. Like, okay, what am I experiencing in my body as I make that call or email or have that meeting where I'm having a conversation about my worth and what's required for me to do this job? So, hey, my husband just did a great example of this. He has been covering for a radiology practice where there's a lot of need, and they wanted him to do like 5 extra days. He's flying out there to do procedures. And he thought, oh, geez, he loves being able to assist them. He loves doing the work he's doing. It's definitely contributing to him and to the bigger picture of other things and other businesses that he's creating. So it's working for him. But to do these extra 5 days was like, whoa, I'm kind of exhausted. It's a lot more travel because I just got back. I wanted to be there with my family more time. My daughter's first day of school, my wife having had my support, and now like we got to arrange the whole universe around the nanny staying longer, like all of these other things. And he was like, oh. So he thought, well, what would be the equivalent of what would really make all of this worth my while so that I'm receiving what I need that makes it all a yes. And for him, there was a financial way that, like, you know, they just ended up paying him more to balance out what his investment was. Now, sometimes all the money in the world is not going to balance it out. Like for me, it didn't matter how much I made in the ER. I was like, I'm dying. This is not going to work. I need to feel fluidity. I need to have that harmony. But sometimes it is a matter of like, oh, what's the energetic equivalent? And can that be in the exchange of money? We're still in a financial exchange. So let the energy come through that. Okay. And he felt really, really good about it. They honored what the value was to them. And that felt like a match for what the value was that he was bringing. And yeah, I'll do it. And so he had all the energy he needed, all the enthusiasm he needed. And he's done amazing, like kind of being not as much sleep and not as much maybe movement and getting some exercise because it's just a lot of work. But he's like, I'm nurtured, I'm receiving what I need, and I'm getting through this great. So it's really important to honor yourself in the equation of what you're contributing in your work. And again, I do want to share the invitation for those of you who are in a practitioner, like a wellness-based kind of work, or wanting to move into that. Like, I want to assist others. I want to inspire others. I somehow want to contribute in a way that expands for others. The Be the Medicine program is available. And I made a great video yesterday to share a little bit more about, like, what is that? What are we doing? We're practicing into this alignment so that you embody the healing you're here to bring. It can be a lot of work if we're trying to help others, and especially if we're in a system that really doesn't have space for all of who we are to come through, like I was. But when we can connect with a higher harmonic, it's really, really easy to create this. And that's one of my geniuses, is assisting people with creating fluid structures, because I can see the essence of who they are and I can see how that wants to come through, and then we can play with that together. So that's at drkimd.com/BTM. And again, if you aren't subscribed at drkimd.com, and you'd like more, and you'd like to come to the live webinar we're holding next week, a week from today, just go to drkimd.com to subscribe. Randy says, I've been willing to go deeper with being present to these heavy energies of shame and victim mentality that are coming up. It doesn't feel like it's really shifting. It's going on 3 months. I'm not doing anything for my online business or my blog, and that's fine. My hair loss seems to be connected somehow, and it feels so heartbreaking. How can I tell if there's something I'm not seeing, or if this is just taking more time to move than I would like? Randy, keep being willing to choose the expansion, to choose beyond what you think is possible, meaning choosing things that really resonate, that will assist you, choosing things that are yes, even though the mind's like, no, 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 I can't do that. Oh, no, 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 I don't have enough money. No, 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 that will be too much time. You've got to choose things that are aligned with that expansion of the, this is who I'm here to be, and allow that in order for you to receive it and receive it more fully. So just look at ways you're still kind of playing small and not letting yourself fully engage and fully receive at that level. Like, oh, well, when I've done enough work on my blog, or when I made enough money, or when blah, 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 then I can open up and receive more. Like, you keep dumping that. And I would say for you, there is so much more that's ready to come in. So it's not just a matter of like, okay, let me just wait. It's not time yet. There's a lot that's ready to come in. And as you're present to all of these heavy energies moving, you're allowing the calibration of that, meaning you're allowing that to come to fruition. You're allowing that to move through. So you're doing really well on those pieces. I would just say you've got to be willing to choose beyond who you've already been, because some of the ways you've practiced into, it's like, well, this is who I am and this is what's possible for me, and so this is how I need to play it. And you're already expanded way beyond that. So the resources that are available go beyond it. I had a conversation with a practitioner a couple weeks ago, and she was kind of resonating with the work I'm doing and even with the practitioner program. And then she said, well, I've got to see if I have enough money and enough resources for that. And it's not that this is necessarily the thing for her or not, or the timing for her or not, but it was really evident that she's still willing to play in an old paradigm of that's going to, you know, this money or the income or what I already have is going to dictate what I choose. For me, the best thing I've been willing to do is when something really resonates and I know that I know it, that I know, I choose it. And it always is the thing that opens me to resource. Like the money always comes in to meet everything that is and more, so that I resource myself fully. A great example of this is in our sexual energy. We often think, okay, when I get my health in order, when I have more time, or when the kids are grown up, then I'll have more sexuality. I'll connect more with my sexuality. I'll have more play with my partner. I'll open up more time for that. And for me too, it's like, oh man, I'm so tired. Let's just crash and go to bed, and like maybe tomorrow night, or oh, maybe we make up in the morning. But I've realized so much. No, it's the one has to come before the other. I'm sourcing myself with that sexual energy. I'm allowing that energy to course through my body. That's what creates inspiration and energy and healing and all the things that I think I need more sleep in order to get it. No, I've got to source myself here so I can let this flow through. And it always does work that way. So sometimes I'm willing to choose something that I don't think I have the energy for, because that is the energy. That is what brings me the energy. And that is what opens me to receive everything I need. So for many of us, that's true. You've got to be willing to receive beyond. So I'll always ask, if I were living my divinely intended, expansive, and free life right now, in receiving everything I needed, what would I choose? Would I choose to work with this client? Would I choose to do this job? Would I choose to say yes to this opportunity? Because sometimes we're choosing from the old conclusion of, well, everything's not really lined up and I can't have what I need now, so let me do this thing. That is the biggest thing that's going to break you down and deplete you and limit you from receiving the work that's ready to come in. Nicole, beautiful Nicole, says, I have this struggle where I think of so many things and projects and passions to do, and I start them and I never finish them. Okay, so take a deep breath, Nicole. Release the wrongness of you. You just have a lot of passion and it's awesome. And right now you can let yourself play with a lot of energies and a lot of different things. And this is very specific to you and the energy that you're in. You're making this thing wrong, and you don't have to. You're actually filled with lots of energy and lots of passions. And right now you can let yourself play with them and percolate them, or even like how it's been in the past, to explore creativity and to connect with different aspects of you and let it serve that purpose, because it's actually serving a purpose. So you don't need to make that be the wrongness that you got to get beyond. You absolutely are aligning with something powerful within you that's ready to come through, and it will channel into lighting up one of those passions, and there'll be a lot more energy in it. And it's like, oh yeah, let's go in this direction. And then all the passion you had for kind of all of the above can move through that one channel and be experienced. Okay. Tatjana, beautiful Tatjana. She's an amazing practitioner. And what part of Europe are you in? I can't even remember right now. But who has done the Be the Medicine program. And I know that's been a huge expansion for you. You can certainly, I invite you to share some of your experience in the group, the Mind Body community as well, because I think it would be very useful for others who are trying to get a feel for this work. And is this for me? What would this create? So I'll invite you all to that. Any other questions and comments? We'll take another couple minutes. I mostly want to invite you to practice into this alignment as a way to source. So often people will say, but I don't know what I'm here to do, or I can't visualize it, or, like they think they need to connect with the clarity of it first before the energy of it can come in. No, connect with the energy of it. Just connect with this light in your heart that maybe doesn't even have a name yet, but you feel the relief of it, or the joy and exhilaration of it. That's enough. Because like I said, that expands and begins to entrain the brain, and the brain begins to sense, oh, it could look like this. Oh, it could sound like this. Oh, it could structure like this. And then you can play around with a lot of different ways of letting that be created. There's a lot more specifics in the Be the Medicine program around the 4 stages of creation. And I'm just going to touch on one of them, which is the first stage of receiving. We must be the receiver for that which is ready to be created through us before anything can be created. And so much of this was a lesson for me, because I was like, come on, let's make it born. Let's birth the baby. Let's have it happen. And settling into the patience of just being willing to be in receiver, even if it takes like 10 years, which it doesn't usually take nearly that long, but it can feel like it's gonna, like, oh my God, this is taking forever. I know Randy has been in that energy a lot with like, why aren't I creating? You really want to let yourself fully percolate into the receptivity, which is, who do I need to be to even think this way, to even know what needs to be created, and to be able to express it. So let yourself percolate in that way more than you think you need to, and that will give you a little bit more patience to kind of be present to that part of the process, because when you're full in the fruition of receiver, the creation is like effortless. It is automatic. It's like you can't not let that baby come through. Baby knows how to birth itself, and it gets created. So it's so much more around allowing than it is about doing. So I'm so excited to share this with you. We'll be here every week for Mind Body TV. We do now have the Mind Body TV podcast, so I would invite you to tune into that if this is contributing to you. I'm at drkimd.com and here for more contribution, more that I'm allowing myself to flow through me. We're working on my second book right now that I'm super excited about. And I certainly have allowed myself to be more of an effortless creator more and more and more every day. And that's really allowed things to come through very fluidly. And so I'm very thankful for that, and thankful for those of you who are a part of this, who are connecting with this work. So you can tune in every week on Mind Body TV at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I am on Mountain Time out here in Durango, Colorado. It's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. So I'm resonating light and love from this very special place through me out to you in the world. So lots of love, and I look forward, if you're interested, to be there live on the webinar next week. It'll be just after we do this broadcast. So I'll still be here live next week, and I will see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.